was not hygienic anymore. Whereas 40 years before, it was the norm of hygiene to protect the houses from the sun. And that's why you will see that there are a lot of places in this area that don't have balconies, or not closed balconies.
Why did they say it's not hygienic?
They said it was not protecting the new norms of hygiene as it was 40 years before when it was implemented. I don't know exactly, but it was... No, actually. You have to understand that I have only 1 hour. I've slept 1 hour. Very tired. Probably if you ask me tomorrow, I will be more rested. No, in the 1920s, the European people who had implemented the balconies decided to vote against the building of new balconies. And it's the Egyptians in the local council, the city council, that were fighting to keep the balconies, because they found out with the Musharabia and all this that it was fitting the Egyptian lifestyle. So they kind of appropriated the colonial style, because the balcony style, we call it the tropical colonial architecture, but the Egyptians took it, and as the Egyptian middle class grew, they had incorporated this lifestyle, and they were the prime defensors of the architecture that we came to study all together. So that's why you can never say it's all Europeans who were fighting against the Egyptians, or it's very intermingled.
Absolutely, and I mean, usually I was wondering if people are really sitting on the balconies. Are they maybe too tight to swim or something? But I mean, when they're looking upwards, I thought that right now that everybody's looking upwards, they're sitting outside and they're watching the street and they're having they're gathering there. So it's something the Arab community really adopted to their habits, because they don't have here the courtyard houses. So this is like the courtyard. It's just not included inside. It's just excluded but covered with the Mashrabiyya style elements, and therefore protected once again if somebody don't want to see the family members, etc. Yeah.
And also by 1914, it's a study by Claudine Piaton, who is the French scholar that has done the first inventory of and that has done the book about Port Said in the French National Research Center within a European big project in the beginning of 2000. She found out that by 1914, so that's exactly 100 years ago, the majority of owners in the city center of Port Said were Egyptians. So at first, the Egyptians were in the Arab quarters, in Al Arab, but as the standards and the mental standards changed, they moved into the
so-called French or European Sharq quarter.
By 1914.
By 1914, that's the point when the European ownership, the Egyptian ownership of buildings in El Sharq becomes a majority of Egyptians.
And sorry, when did Egyptians vote?
I think it's at the beginning of the 1920s. I have to check my notes.
1920s, yeah. So it's after they become a majority.
Yes. And they wanted to keep going with the same kind of architecture. But I will tell you, we have lectures on Tuesday, so I'll try to...
So Tuesday, the long lecture row, he will be the first lecturer then.
Yeah, but I will speak not really about it, but we'll manage.
But maybe we can ask him questions then, so keep your questions ready.
And also, I guess you know it, but Port Said at that time was the most cosmopolitan city of the world, probably, along with Alexandria, maybe. So, from what I've been told, this is the Maltese community, the Maltese Jewish community that built this neighborhood. You saw the Italian school, there's a Greek center, they were all communities, and they implemented their touches in all the building, and that's what makes all this environment so rich culturally.
Yeah. Maybe in that way I want to make advertisements about that book, because the Claudine Piaton, as Pierre mentioned, she wrote that book, and there are some, let's say, introductory words about the history of Port Said inside, and it's written in French and Arabic, so you can easily.
And at the end, it's written in English.
At the end, there's some paragraphs, the major paragraphs written in English, and you can see there are historical maps inside, then there are photographs, and there are plans about regions. So there are houses, let's say, which in particular are mentioned, and so photographs, historical ones, and photographs from current times. So you just can very nicely have an overview of Port Said's architecture when you're reading that book. So everybody should have one in his bookshelf. You can find it. I found it in Cairo in the Arab.
We have one in our library.
In the library on Samalek. Ingo is saying it's not to get anymore since it's sold out. It needs to be printed again, but maybe somehow I can give one copy.
Right to the French Institute of Oriental Archaeology. If you write to them, if you put pressure on them, they will be forced to reprint, because I think all they do is very anonymous kind of content, and that's the only book that was sold out. So they are not used to it, they don't know what to do. So if we push, maybe they can do a second edition.
And maybe
and update it, because a lot of buildings that are on this book were destroyed.
Yeah.
And it was edited in 2006. So that's also to say how difficult the situation is regarding the unity of the architecture of Port Said, which is the... Well, I'm a little bit Saidi, I'm not objective, but I think it's in Port Said that you have the last architectural unity retreats, where you can really feel as it was 120 or 30 years ago. You will see when we move to the wooden quarters.
Exactly. And by the way, another advertisement, there's a book about Ismailia in Swiss. So we're having 3 of them. From the same author.
Labine.